Hi, this is Mary from Sewing4Madison. We are going to be working on an applique in the hoop project today. I'll be using my Brother PE770, but you can use any embroidery machine that you have. I'm going to go through the list of supplies that you will need for this project and then walk you through each step to finish out our project. Here are the supplies that you'll need. First, you'll need to hoop your stabilizer. I'm using a double layer of medium tearaway stabilizer that I purchased from Amazon. I will put the affiliate links in the description for you. The reason why you want to use 2 layers of stabilizer is because you want to use 1 layer for every 6,000 to 8,000 stitches. And this particular design has just over 12,000 stitches, therefore I need 2 pieces of stabilizer. If you don't use 2 pieces of stabilizer, your design will actually start to pucker in the middle, which we want to avoid. The additional tools that you'll need is you'll need all your thread colors. I have my first thread already in the machine, and then I have the same color as a bobbin thread that we'll need for the very last step. I have 2 pairs of scissors that I'll be using for this project. The first one is this curved pair of applique scissors. You can also get these online, and I'll put a link in the description for those. And then a smaller pair of titanium scissors that are very sharp. These are straight scissors, and they're great for getting into those little tiny crevices that you need to trim. I have my 2 pieces of felt for our project. Today we'll be making Mickey Mouse pancakes for a play kitchen set, and also some tape that we'll need for the bottom of the hoop project. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so step 1 in our design is to go ahead and load your project into your machine, which I already have. And then step 2 would be hooping your stabilizer, which I already have. So I'm going to take my first piece of felt, which I've pre-cut to fit the front of my hoop, and I'm going to load that into the machine. The first stitch here is going to go around the outside of the pancake to start our applique. This particular design does not have a placement stitch, so some appliques will lay a placement stitch down first and then a stitch to adhere the fabric, then you trim around that. So this particular design does not have a placement stitch, so I'm going to go right into the first stitch on the fabric. Okay, great. Now I'm going to remove this from the hoop, and I'm going to trim around the stitching. The best way to do this is to tug slightly on the fabric as you're beginning to cut. I'm using my curved scissors for this, and I'm trying to get as close to that stitching without cutting into the stitching. You always want to make sure that you leave your hoop flat on your work surface. If you pick it up, it might actually move the stabilizer around or possibly even tear it. So you want to make sure it stays flat while you are cutting all around your applique design. If you're using a thinner fabric, you might not have to switch back and forth with scissors like I am, but this is a 2mm thickness felt, and it's a little bit thick to cut, and so I have to use 2 scissors to get into those tight corners. Okay, here's my next step. I'm going to switch my threads, and we'll begin the syrup part of the design. I'm just trimming these little threads. And it's time to move on to the next color. Okay, so now the top part of the design is finished and we are ready to put the bottom part of the fabric on. So here's where you have to change your bobbin thread color to match the outer stitching of your in the hoop design. I'm going to tape the other piece of felt onto the bottom side of my hoop. I'm just using plain old Scotch tape. Some people use painter's tape. I use Scotch tape because it's cheaper. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to remove my hoop and trim all around the fabric along the back side. Again, you want to make sure that you're not lifting the hoop up when you're cutting around, and you want to cut as closely to those stitches without cutting into the stitches. Okay, there we go. That's all trimmed up. I'm going to put it back in the hoop and finish our last step, which is a satin stitch. Okay, great. So the design is now finished in the embroidery machine, and the next step we have to do is remove it from the hoop. I do that by simply popping it out. And our last step here is to go ahead and trim around these little fuzzy marks here and all these loose little strings. So I'm going to do that with my straight scissors. Gives it a nice finished look. Okay, and there you have it. One Mickey Mouse pancake. Here's the front side and here's the back side. Thank you for joining our tutorial today on the applique in the hoop project. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you smash that like button and share it. Feel free to subscribe to our channel for many more tutorials, product reviews, and demonstrations to come. Happy crafting!